Hey, yo, internets, this episode of the Combat Jack Show is supported by Bevel, the first and only shaving system designed for people with coarse, curly hair and sensitive skin. You've seen people talking about that Bevel trimmer. Listen, I got one. That shit is like the lightsaber of trimmers. Shit is out now. No more waiting lists. You don't have to wait. All orders are shipping now. The Bevel trimmer features 4 hours of cordless power, zero gap adjustment in seconds, an easy-to-clean blade designed to repel dirt and oil and other buildup that shit carries on your neck. Motherfuckers, clean your neck. And listen, the best thing about this is a soft touch grip with a 360 non-slip handling. And for a limited time, internets, with every trimmer purchase, you get the first month of Bevel's super amazing shave system for free. Just go over to getbevel.com/Jack. Tell them Combat Jack sent you. That's getbevel.com/Jack for your first month free of the Bevel shaving system. You deserve to look good, so bring smoother skin into your life with Bevel.
Get ready for combat. No escaping. Get ready for combat. Get ready for combat. Yeah. The Combat Jack Radio Show.
Yo, internet, you're listening to the Combat Jack Show. How y'all doing out there? This is weird, man. We're in a different room at the headquarters of the engine room. This is a weird setup, man. King, what's going on with you, man?
I'm chilling, man. I just want to salute you. Congratulations. I know it's all team, but I just want to commend you for your stellar contributions to the culture with this Mogul project.
I mean, you trying to make me cry, man?
Dude, you made a lot of people cry.
You made a lot of people cry.
You know,
did I?
Yeah,
100%.
man.
I had to choke back, man. I was close. When Tiffany was speaking, I was close.
All right, let's rewind. Let's bring the audience in, man. You know, you already seen the headlines, man. We got the legendary Dante Ross in the building. Welcome to the Combat Jack Show.
What up? I'm hitting the mic. What's going on, guys?
This is your second appearance on the Combat Jack Show, but nobody can find your first appearance, so fuck that. This is your first appearance on the Combat Jack Show.
This is my second appearance.
Yes. So what we're talking about is we had the Mogul launch party / Chris Lighty birthday party.
Yes, sir.
Last night at Marquee. Spotify hosted an amazing event. They hired the great, legendary Jessica Rosenblum to plan it, and it was just amazing.
I mean, no one else could do that for Chris. That's Chris's sisters. So.
Yeah, exactly. From when they rode shotgun in front of the tunnel
we all came up together.
Exactly. So anyway, but what we're talking about is I had to do a brief speech and an intro and welcome to the stage Chris Lighty's eldest daughter, Tiffany Lighty. And, you know, I don't know internets, I know a lot of y'all have been listening to the series, and I thank y'all. And if y'all haven't, I apologize to people that's overseas or, you know, outside of the U.S. I apologize to Canada and the whole. I'm a little hungover too. Anybody that can't get the show, I apologize. But if you live within the U.S., all you gotta fucking do is download Spotify. Y'all don't have to pay for the premium or anything like that. I've been telling you, motherfuckers been complaining every day. I get at least 6-10 complaints. It's on Spotify. Like, niggas, just download the shit.
You ain't got Spotify by now. You lost.
Yeah. So anyway, I had to intro Chris's daughter, man, and you know. Man, I don't even want to talk about it right now because I'm feeling the emotion, man.
I mean, talk about it. That was real, though.
Chris's spirit was definitely in the room.
100%, man.
Chris's spirit was in the room. From, like, his
spirit brought a lot of people together yesterday.
Let's talk about
don't see each other.
Yeah, let's talk about some of the names like Lyon Cohen,
the Fubu
cool
brother,
DJ Red Alert,
the Fubu guys. Pardon. You know,
Damon John was there.
Damon John,
Red Alert, man. Let's talk
Bob
about
Johnson from Beat. Yes, he was.
Bob Johnson?
He was there.
I seen him.
Holy fucking!
I saw Chris's his grandmother was there.
His grandmother?
Yeah.
I saw his sister.
I seen his brother.
I saw his sister's.
I seen both his brothers, Mike and Dave.
Yeah. But you know, I could get. I mean, I got my win back, but just talking about Chris, and I didn't even know Chris that well.
Mm-hmm.
But just doing this story for over a year, man, with Chris, and just living with Chris, and the ups and the downs, and the story's about to get darker, man.
Man.
It's so emotional, man.
Yeah,
like,
man.
So I started breaking down when I was giving the intro, but I didn't know other people were.
Nah. A lot of people got emotional. I was standing with Lior, you know, and I seen him. Me and him was both like, damn. It was tough for a couple of us, you know, and like I almost didn't want to go just because I just like it's emotive, and I don't feel like being emotional in front of people. That's not my style.
Right. Well, thanks for coming out, Dante.
Thanks for being here.
Yo, I just found out, man. I knew you were a pioneer in this game. We both came in around the same time. You became the A&R. I became the lawyer. I always wanted to be an A&R. But I found out that you were actually technically the very first person hired specifically
At a major label.
to do hip hop A&R at a major. You're the first
Yep.
hip hop A&R person.
I was.
Like the Guinness Book of World Records needs you in the fuck. You're the first.
That's what they
That's
said.
crazy.
Yeah, man.
That's what's even crazier is I remember Harry Allen said to me years ago, "I'm the first hip hop attorney."
The media assassin.
The media is that crazy, man? That era that we come from,
That's crazy.
right?
That's amazing.
Like, how do we do that shit, man?
So did you claim yourself the first hip hop attorney?
Back then, that shit was corny.
Right. So
shit
who
was
gave you the moniker? Like
Harry Allen called me
Okay.
that. But I mean, because it was Harry Allen and I
That
was
makes it
coming in the
official.
game, I was like, oh
That's
shit,
official.
Harry Allen. But over the years, you got to claim shit. And motherfuckers are trying to,
Yeah.
push your legacy aside,
Yeah,
man.
of course.
Yo, growing up, man, what did you want to be?
I wanted to play point guard for the Knicks, but I wasn't that nice. So I mean, that was really what I wanted to do. But,
Right.
They still
But
need
I'm-
a point guard.
I mean, my handle is gone. When the crossover came out, they crossed me out. They was like, "You done, kid." I wanted to play sports. I love sports. I wanted to be a sports announcer. Marv Albert was an early hero of mine. I used to turn the TV off and do the play-by-play. Me and my man, and I just always really I would buy the sporting news and have like all the rosters in front of me and all that. I was really, really like into that. But you got to go to school to do that, and I ain't like going to school too much. And I always read the back of records, right? So I'm a credit hound. I read
Liner
everything.
notes and credits and everything. Right.
So especially Parliament Funkadelic records because they were like cartoons to me.
That was my first album ever that I bought was Chocolate City.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite groups ever growing
Yeah.
up because the covers and they were like the Black Kiss, right? So they had that same thing because I liked Kiss too when I was young because they were just like
Colorful, man.
yeah, right. It was like comic book shit. So
Yeah. And Gene Simmons with the flames. I mean,
it was
come on.
like the music.
How do you not like that
the
shit?
music was whatever, but
It was
the whole
rock. It was
imaging
traditional rock
great.
and roll, but
Yeah, So I always read the back of notes, liner notes, and I was fascinated by a couple of people like Steve Cropper. I was like, how's this guy's name on every record I like, right? Because he was on Bill Withers, and then he was on like Otis Redding, and I was wondering who he was, and Jerry Wexler, and I started reading about music a lot, and I guess Steve Cropper and Jerry Wexler stood out to me because they were white guys making black music, right? And I grew up with like all Puerto Rican cats, and I was like, oh, I can identify, and I'm looking at back of pictures of records, and it's Steve Cropper's in the room with like Otis Redding, and he looked cool with the pompadour. I was like, that guy's fucking cool.
Yeah.
He was always someone who I like looked up to, and I read a lot of stuff in high school about music. I was always fascinated by the culture of music, and then being around Russell and people like that, I was like, oh wow, I can maybe even figure this out.
how'd
So-
you end up being around Russell? And we're jumping ahead.
Yeah, we're
but-
jumping way ahead.
Yeah. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But so one thing I found amazing is not just your history, but your family's history.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
like growing up, like your household,
Yeah.
like your dad,
Yeah, my pops was a wild cat.
John Ross.
Yeah,
right?
he's an activist and a writer.
He was down with the beat movement.
Oh yeah, he was. He was published by Northern Lights, and he was friends with like Jack Kerouac and all them cats. Yeah, my dad was a wild ass dude, man. He was like a political activist. He had a bunch of kids all over the place that I keep meeting as I get in my 40s and 50s, and he was an interesting guy, man. He's a writer and a journalist, and man, he marched to his own drum. And my mom was a school teacher. My parents were definitely like bohemians, and that was just how I grew up. I grew up with like in a very unorthodox household. Like my dad is friends with like Stokely Carmichael and
Yeah, Bobby Seale.
Bobby Seale. Yeah, my like
So you grew up like as a kid, like seeing like all of these
I
activists,
mean,
like
Stokely
Black
Carmichael would
Panthers
come to
and
my
the whole
house and all
nine.
that. Like,
That's crazy.
Yeah. My dad knew him from Bronx Science and went to school together. And my dad went to high school with Stokely Carmichael and Bobby Darin. How crazy is that?
Right.
Yeah, and like, my pops was part of the free speech movement, and just like there was always interesting people coming through my house. It was like always it was pretty wild, man. So people who don't know about this, like I was raised looking up to people like the Young Lords and the Black Panthers, and a lot of that kind of trickled down to the music I ended up making at one point. So,
Your dad was also like one of the original draft resistors.
Oh yeah, he was the second person in the United States to refuse to do service in Vietnam.
The
He went to jail
second?
for it. Yeah, the first in the state of California.
Right.
He went to jail. He went to Chino State for a year in 1963, and
So before your time.
Yeah, and he's one of the reasons that conscientious objector status exists, because he refused to go to war, and interestingly enough, that's the same thing that Muhammad Ali exercised not to go to serve in the Vietnam War. So I was raised to be pretty rebellious and anti-establishment. I was kind of the roots. It's in my DNA.
What type of conversations do you remember having with your dad growing up that would shape your worldview?
I mean, my dad was like, so my dad was, he also disappeared for a large part of my childhood. So he was absent for about 7 or 8 years.
What happened? Just dipped or?
He was fucked up in the game. He was, on drugs, and the fallout of the 60s kicked him in the ass, and he had to get his life together, But my dad, so when we were young, he just talked to me about basketball a lot of sports, and a lot of like culture. And he would read comic books for me. My dad was a great artist. He drew lots of stuff for me, and as a kid, he was just like, it wasn't like there was never really anything political that I remember. Though as a toddler, I was taking on marches, and there's pictures of me on my dad's shoulder at anti-Vietnam marches in like 1967, 68. So I was raised around all of that, man, I had a wild childhood, man. It was pretty interesting.
That's crazy. And you grew up in New York?
I grew up in the Lower East Side.
Lower East Side.
Yeah, I grew up in Manhattan. I grew up on Second. Well, first I lived on 9th between B and C, and I grew up on Second between A and B. And there were no cafes on my
Lower East
block
Side
growing
was
up.
Fucked up, B.
I was a heroin supermarket. Yeah, it was a wild ass place to grow
up.
up. It was really dysfunctional.
Yeah.
And violent, hyper violent, and there was like two neighborhoods. The two worst neighborhoods in New York were Harlem and the Lower East Side.
Right.
And it was an interesting place to grow up. But I wouldn't change it for anything.
Of course
It made
not.
me who I am. It
prepared
me for my job later in life. Situations that make lots of white people uncomfortable never made me uncomfortable, because I just grew up like, I'm the only white kid on the block. That's how it's going to be. So for me, it was like life training.
Right.
If I hadn't done that and my parents weren't who they are, I probably wouldn't have ended up doing what I do for a living.
Yeah, of course. So. I mean, of course, you can't change anything.
Nothing happens by accident, right?
Exactly. So how did you get closer to music? Like, how did you start hanging out with Russel, man?
So I always loved music. Like, my sister is 10 years older than me, and she loved music too, and she was really into disco and dancing and all that. So
did you like that shit?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love disco to this day. It's
Gloria Gaynor.
More obscure stuff like Lamont Dozier,
right?
And just all the Paradise Garage stuff. I really love all that music.
Wait! Did you go to the Paradise?
I did.
You went to the Paradise?
Yeah, I went to Garage.
You're one of the few guests that I ever had.
Yeah. I know Clark. I used to see Clark in there too.
Yes.
And Peter Paul and there's cats who were in there. You went on Friday night. Saturday night was some more gay night.
Yeah, I love the Garage, dude.
Yeah, it was the illest.
Would you do the mescaline?
I did every drug.
Yeah. And I was heavy into mescaline.
Yeah, I was into acid and all that.
See, I wasn't fucking with the acid, but Poppy that was across the street with the flapjack hat. You cop like 2 tabs for like $10, my nigga. You be out of here.
Yeah, I used to do it. I used to smoke Angel Dust. All
really?
That shit. Yeah. So
but that was the time to do it.
That's what we did.
That was the time to do it, man.
We were kids.
New York City was crazy.
New York City was buck
wild. And we had this sense that at any given moment we're gonna have a good time, or we might get killed. Right.
Danger was around the corner.
Right.
Like everywhere you went. I mean, that's part of it too. You had to be aware of what you were doing, where you were doing, who you were with. New York.
What you had on, where you had it on.
All that.
Right.
All that. Like I'm unfortunate. I had no money, so I never had any jewelry or anything. So I didn't really have a whole lot to take.
Me too. Right.
You're gonna get like a tray bag and like 43 cents from me. So, it wasn't. I wasn't living a
charm
glamorous
life.
life. Yeah, I didn't have it then.
But anyway, so you were saying your sister.
Yeah, she was really into disco and she was into like Parliament, Stevie Wonder, and my mom too liked Stevie Wonder and stuff like that. So I grew up listening to music. I grew up on top of a social club, and the jukebox was right under my bedroom. So like I'd hear like the Shy Lights and all the Sweet Soul stuff too. They sold coke down there, and we had block parties, and we were all into dancing and all that. So as a kid, like, that's just what we were around. Music is escapism, right? So that was like, the cheapest form of escapism.
Yeah.
Turn on the radio
music,
and you can get outside of your life. I loved Casey and the Sunshine Band and Peter Brown and all that music that was out back then. So I grew up definitely listening to music my whole life. I didn't really know about white rock music to junior high school. When I went to junior high school, cats put me on to Led Zeppelin, and I thought it was one person.
Right.
I was like, oh, that Led Zeppelin dude he's ill.
He's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, I didn't know about any of that.
Yeah.
Though. I didn't really like
Did you-
I didn't know about that culture necessarily.
Right.
So, you know.
Did they think that you were odd? The white kids that did play that music, did they think you were odd?
Not necessarily. I mean, like I say, I ran around with a lot of Puerto Ricans growing up. So, and even in school, in junior high school, most of my friends were Puerto Rican just because we took the bus to school together and all that. So,
Yeah. Did you fuck with Floyd, Pink Floyd?
I did later on. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like Pink Floyd. They were
It's just
ill.
so heavy, man.
Yeah,
It's so like I
yeah, I
love
used to take acid and listen to Pink Floyd.
Yo,
That
how
was the
did you
shit.
live, man? Because like Pink Floyd is so depressing.
It is.
And,
it
and
is.
and if you're in a bad state of mind on that acid and listening to that Floyd, like how do you even fucking function?
I mean, I really liked the early Pink Floyd. Wish You Were Here. That
Yes.
was my one.
Right.
Like I was definitely a fan of Pink Floyd, but that didn't last very long because, you know, like in junior high school, this thing came out called punk rock, and that shit was exciting to me. And I lived in the East Village. I live on the Lower East Side, so I'm seeing these people dressed bugged out.
What was your first introduction to punk rock?
I turned on Saturday Night Live, and it's funny because Glenn Friedman had the same experience, and he was growing up in Beverly Hills in Brentwood. But
Shout out to Glenn Friedman. We need another
yeah,
episode
Glenn
too.
Friedman's the illest. That's
Yeah.
my man.
Yeah.
He's one of the few people who walked through it all. Him, the Beasties, a couple of us like who are still around. We saw punk rock and the emergence of hip hop. But I'll get to that. So Saturday Night Live, 1978, Devo was on. And
I loved Devo, B.
yeah, they did what song? Jocko Homo and the cover of Satisfaction. And I thought it was amazing.
With the caps and the whole nine.
They had the crazy suits and
Yeah.
they were moving like robots. It was some shit I never seen before. And it was
But was Devo really classified as
nah,
punk,
they
or
weren't really.
was it
They were
that
new wave. They were
Yeah.
new wave, but they were. So new wave was cool before MTV came out. MTV kind of dead it.
Yeah.
It got corny. It became like a marketing tool. But I would say they're new and they predate punk rock. Like they were making music in 1974 in Akron, Ohio. They all went to Kent State, but enough about Devo. I seen them live on the thing. I thought it was amazing. And so when we were young, Saturday Night Live, that was like what you did on the weekend, right?
Yeah, that shit was the
We're in
shit.
7th grade.
Like the first shift.
yeah, we're
Saturday Night
babies.
Live. Like,
yeah. You know,
We're
John
talking about
Belushi,
Garrett Morris and John
Yeah,
Belushi and
yeah.
Dan Aykroyd and
all
yeah.
that. So you know,
Lorraine Newman.
Chevy Chase.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Gilda.
and I was like, because we didn't get high yet. That was like getting high to us.
Right.
That was like, oh, we're gonna stay up late and watch Saturday Night Live. That was the shit. So on Monday we always talk about it in school, and I was like, everyone's like, yo, did you see that band? And I was like, they were incredible. And everyone looked at me like I was fucking nuts. Everyone's like, that's the worst shit ever. I started noticing there was some little change between us.
Right. Some
And then,
space.
And then I went to see Song Remains the Same that summer, and I thought it was a complete piece of shit. And I thought that it was corny, and Led Zeppelin was corny, and I was waiting for something. And punk rock was it.
Right.
And I was into skateboarding, and I'd look at the skateboard magazine. All my idols had turned punk rock.
Right.
So it was just a matter of time. So you know, I cut my hair and cut all the sleeves off my T-shirts, and one shoplifting, got a new wardrobe, and bang.
Hey, yo, internets, this episode of the Combat Jack Show is brought to you by the new Spotify original podcast, Mogul, The Life and Death of Chris Lighty, hosted by me, a.k.a. Combat Jack, Reggie Yosei, co-founder of the Loudspeakers Network. This is the most important piece of work that I've ever worked on, man. This past year has been very just emotional, man. It's been deep, and getting into the life of Chris Lighty, man, is just like one of the most amazing guys, one of the best that ever did it. Mogul tells a story of the music executive who changed hip-hop and shaped the careers of some of the most beloved, well-known legendary acts like LL Cool J, Missy Elliott, 50 Cent, Nas, Diddy, and so much more. One of the most illustrious careers in music, Lighty rose to the pinnacle of musical success before an untimely end. This story is just more than music, internet. It's the story of the American dream. Mogul, The Life and Death of Chris Lighty, is a Spotify original podcast produced by Gimlet Media and, of course, the Loudspeakers Network. Follow and listen to Mogul starting April 27th. That's 2 weeks ago. Every week, every Thursday on Spotify. Motherfuckers download Spotify and stop complaining. Back to the show.
You know, I was
Doc Martens, man? Or?
Doc's a little later. I was always more like a skateboard punk rock
Right.
kid. I was like Chucks and some Vans and shit like that. And yeah, man, I just started going to punk rock shows. I think it was 8th or 9th grade, and I think it was the summer between 8th and 9th grade. I started going to shows. This band we used to dig called the Stimulators, and then we saw the Bad Brains a little later after that. And by the time I was getting out of ninth grade, going to high school, I was into punk rock. That was my shit. And I went to junior high school with the girls in Luscious Jackson.
Yes.
And they were a year younger than me. Well, one of them's my age, one of them was younger. That crew of girls, and they were punk rock before I was, and they actually were like kind of inspirational for me in a bit. They were like, "Oh, come to Max's Kansas City, let's go see this band, the Stimulators," and then like I was inspired by them, and I had this friend John.
Well, did you play? I'm sorry, did you play?
I played drums.
Okay.
Yeah, I played drums. I played drums since I was a kid. My friend's dad was a famous drummer, Ed Blackwell. He was a jazz drummer, and he kind of taught me how to play drums when I was a kid. So I always played drums a little bit. I was never great, but like I could play a little.
Yeah, I didn't know you had all this pedigree, B.
I mean, it's growing up in New York. I was
Right.
thinking about on the way over here that, so like, where you grow up when I was a kid really defined you, right?
Right.
So downtown, we're always different. We're different because we know about everything first. I can't even tell you why. So there's a lot of downtown too. There's Chelsea, right? And there's Chelsea Projects, and then there's a nice part of Chelsea.
Yes.
Then there's the Village. The West Village is nice. And then there's like below that where the Italian cats live, like not even Little Italy,
right.
but it's Soho now. But like over there by like Spring Street, that was like really Italian. And where I lived, the East Village, there's the East Village, then there's the Lower East Side. The East Village was above Avenue A, then there's the Lower East Side. I grew up in the Lower East Side. So where I lived was grimy, but also artistic.
It was all Puerto Ricans, right?
Well, but
a lot of Latinos.
Yeah, a lot. It was mostly Puerto Rican, but
Yeah.
but also there was weird artists there because it
Right.
was cheap, right? So it's like my exposure level to shit was so crazy as a child. Like I saw so much shit, and New York was so vibrant. Like, I mean, the subway train was an art gallery,
Yeah.
right? Like you saw beautiful art on the side of the
It
train.
also stank like fuck.
Oh,
too,
it stank
but
like
yeah.
fuck. Hell yeah.
But I mean,
It was just an experience,
Yeah.
and like New York was a creative, artistic place, and living downtown for whatever the reason being, like it's in the air. You just see more, you know more, things are more accessible. You are hipper to things quicker than anywhere else probably in the entire world. And because of that, people like the Beastie Boys or John Michelle Basquiat like gravitated here, or Futura 2000 who's from the Upper West Side,
Or Keith Haring.
or Keith Haring who's from
That
Pittsburgh,
was my dude, yeah.
or Eric Hayes
Yeah.
who's from the Upper West Side, or me growing up there. Like all of us end up here. I mean, Rick Rubin going to NYU.
Yep.
I mean, it's not an accident. Russell moved to the Village, and that Run DMC's first real show in New York was at Danceteria, right? Because that's where the
I
culture
love
moved
that
and
club,
shake.
man.
I mean, hip hop didn't start to make the worldwide moves until it went to the Roxy.
Of course.
It was in the Bronx. It was still segregated, right? It was up there, but when it came downtown and hip white people started to take notice, that's when it grew. So, I always think this, and less so today than ever due to economics, but like the most progressive place in the whole world when I was growing up was downtown Manhattan.
Right.
And so if you grew up here, you're going to be a progressive person.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
So you're hanging out with I found out that you was hanging out with Bad Brains, man.
Oh yeah. Those are my big brothers.
Like how, dude? Like
So I was really into punk rock.
Right.
I saw
I mean,
the Bad-
that's impressive. We're talking about Bad Brains, man.
I mean, I was a huge fan of them.
Right.
Like we all were. I mean, the Beastie Boys' name is the Beastie Boys because of the Bad Brains Beastie
Okay,
Boys.
but
It's
they,
not
were
an
they
accident.
initially like what were they initially?
They were a punk rock band.
No, but were they called the Beastie Boys?
Well, they were the Young Aborigines.
Right.
And then they became the Beastie
Okay.
Boys.
So Bad Brains, Beastie Boys.
Yes.
Oh, that's crazy.
And we were big fans of the band, and you could touch your heroes back then. You
Right.
know, I mean, so they just took note of us and all of us, and we became friends with them. And Daryl, the bass player, it's like my big brother. He schooled me on Mad Game, and I used to play ball with them. They lived on Avenue B. I lived a couple blocks away from them. I mean, we used to just hang like those were my guys, and they adopted me when I was very young.
And did you think this was a special life, or did you think it was normal? Did you like, I got some swag?
I mean, I was so young. I
Right.
mean, I wasn't necessarily conscious, but I will say by the time I was in high school, I realized that we were definitely different because we could go to any nightclub in New York and breeze right in when we're 16 years old.
And that was hectic.
Yeah, that's crazy,
Yeah.
And once upon a time I was a good-looking kid, and I realized that girls liked me. You know what I mean? So I was like, wow, I could like mess with this model broad over here, and like get in any nightclub here, and I got $3 to my name, and
You know what? You're right, man. Because like coming from Brooklyn, we definitely had a swag, man. We definitely had this
Brooklyn
kinda,
dudes
like,
are hard.
we kind of, I would say hard as well as like just for we're not like Harlem. Like Harlem dudes are just
Harlem's
boisterous
flashy.
and loud. And I always thought that
Harlem
Brooklyn,
is like Pele diamonds, like bezel
fur
jacket.
everything,
Yeah,
fur
yeah.
sneakers and shit, man. Whereas I always thought we had a cool about us, but
Oh yeah.
But when I started running with kids from the Lower East Side, I was like, what the fuck magic shit y'all on? Because y'all did pull all the model chicks when we were coming up. And I used to be jealous as fuck. And I was like, they just live close to them. But y'all really had that game with the chicks.
I can't even.
Y'all had that game with that chick. Y'all, you just reminded me, like Lower East Side cats had the chicks.
I mean,
Right?
my whole
The model, especially
my whole
when the
squad
model
always
shit was,
had ladies.
when
man.
the model shit was big.
Yeah. I mean, that's how we did it when we
Yeah.
were young. It's like and these girls who we just knew who were like our friends, like some of them ended up being models, actresses. It was just how it was. In downtown, like growing up downtown, you touch people who are destined for greatness far more than the rest of the
Yes.
city.
Do you think that still exists, man?
I don't
Right.
think so because of economics, because people can't afford to live in New York like that anymore.
Yeah.
So if you're a struggling artist, you probably live in Bushwick. You might live in
Which is going through
Jersey
change
City,
right now. Exactly.
way out. You might live in East New York soon.
Right, which is changing.
I mean, I play that game when I'm on the train going to Rockaway. I'm like, yo, where the white people get off now? And that
Yeah.
shit got real far.
It's
People
deep-
getting
it's-
off in Utica
it's-
now.
Yo, Utica, past Utica, dude. Like
I'm
I grew
like-
up on. That's where I grew up on Utica, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's a no white people zone.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you a cop or a fiend if you out there.
Exactly. So okay. So you're living this life, man. You're hanging out with Bad Brains, and you're growing up with the Beasties, right? Like,
Well, I met them. We all met each other because we were all in the same thing, the same scene. We're in the punk rock. And the original Beastie Boys, before they were a rap group, one of my best friends who died, rest in peace, John Berry. He was in the band. He was a guitar player, and he was just a wild cat.
how'd he die?
He had a neurological disorder,
Wow.
and he had early advanced dementia, and he died. He died in 2016.
Wow.
He was one of my best friends and my running buddy growing up, and he was a wild ass dude. He slayed every chick out. He was a good looking cat, and he was really talented. He was a great skateboarder. He was a tough kid. Like he was a wild, reckless. Like a lot of people say they don't give a fuck. He didn't give a fuck.
Right.
Like he just didn't care, and he lived in this wood frame house on 100th Street and Broadway, and that's where the original Beasties rehearsed, and that's where all our parties were. And those guys, like I say, they were a little ahead of me. Well, he was and Yauk were, and Mike D. Not, I think Ad Rock about the same time. They were ahead of me in being punk rock by like maybe a year.
Right.
And the girls who were in Luscious Jackson.
Right.
And then I met them a little later, and I remember seeing them at early punk rock shows, like, and I was like, oh, those guys look cool, like, and there's like, they got some cute girls with them. I need to know them dudes, and somehow we linked up and became friends.
Now, how were they, man? Like at that time, man?
I mean, they were cool. I
Right.
mean, we were little kids, man. Everything was brand new. It was like, I mean, there's, as long as I've known them, and I don't see them much anymore. I don't want to overstate my friendship with those cats, but they're good dudes, and we were like young men, like sowing our oats. So, we all hung out. I mean, me and John were more reckless than the rest of them. We're a little wilder, and we had this other group of friends who had a punk rock band called Frontline that the Beasties ended up covering one of their songs later on, Time for Living. And we just ran around. We had a crew, like a little gang called the Westbeth Posse. And if you look at a Bad Brains record, they shouted us out on one of the records. And we just used to wild out, man. We was just wild kids running the streets, writing graffiti, skateboarding, getting in fights, hanging out with chicks, going to nightclubs. It was, 16 years old, we were doing grown man shit and having more fun than any of you guys who are bottle service suckers going to clubs now.
Yeah, that shit didn't even I don't even understand what that shit is.
That shit didn't even exist.
Yeah, not at all. So how did the transition happen from punk, which you were heavily into? Like obviously the pedigree is undoubtable, to hip hop. Like how was that switch?
Punk rock started getting stale to us. It started getting corny because, like I said, we're progressive cats, and no knock on the next wave of kids who came in. So there was punk rock, and that's the Ramones and them.
Yes.
So we were hardcore kids, New York hardcore, which was like the evolution of punk rock, and that's like bands like Black Flag in L.A. and the Bad Brains. And,
Did you fuck with
Minor Threat?
Yeah. Did you fuck with Sid Vicious and?
Nah, I like that stuff, but that's not my era. That's before us.
Okay.
And then people to us were like, they were old news to us. You know what I mean? We were like, get out with your leather pants. That's not us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're in camouflage.
Yeah.
It's different. and you know, the hair got shorter, and we weren't wearing spikes and all that, right? That was in our flow, and the next wave of kids started coming, and there were a lot of them from Queens, and they were little tougher than us probably. They were a little more violent, and it got a little more Neanderthal. And a lot of these bands are my friends, so I'm not knocking none of them. I love them all, Sick of It All, and Murphy's Law, and them. Those were our friends, but Agnostic Front. But it got a little too much for all of us, and we liked rap music already, right? Because it was cool to us. I guess in England they like reggae,
Right.
They like dub and the
Right.
punks, and so we like rap music. Our favorite band's black guys who play punk rock.
Right.
So we were listening to, you know, hip hop.
What was your first rap experience?
I want to say Rapper's Delight.
Yeah.
You know, I remember Rapper's Delight, and I remember my man in 6th or 7th grade, Columbus Van Horn. You had to call him Jack. You called him Columbus. You got socked. He told me, I'm gonna give you this tape, and he gave me a Grandmaster Flash tape, 50 beats, the original one, and it had Birthday Party on it before it came out, all that shit, and I was hooked kind of since then, and it was like reminded me of disco, and when we were punk, liking disco wasn't that cool really. Until like the Tom Tom Club came out,
yeah.
Then it became cool,
Tom
like
Tom
Talking
Club
Heads,
was ridiculous.
because they
Talking
embraced
Heads.
disco, you know what I
Yes.
mean, like dance music.
Hey, yo, Internet. Support for this episode of the Combat Jack Show comes from Bevel. You've heard about the signature fade with the Bevel blade, but what about a trim? If you've been patiently waiting for the Bevel trimmer, the wait is over, Internets. All orders are shipping now. Yo, go to getbevel.com/jack. And for a limited time, when you buy the Bevel trimmer, you'll get the first month of this amazing shaving system for free. Internets, I never lied to you. I never steered you wrong. That's getbevel.com/jack. Get that Bevel, yo. Back to the show.
That was like when rap started.
Right.
And then Africa Bambaataa, of course, came out when I was in high school, 82. And that was cool. Electro started showing itself. Before that, we liked Spoonie G, though. I remember like digging all those records. Funky 4 plus one more, Sequence, Get On Up. We were fucking with all that.
It wasn't, you know what's crazy, man? Like back when I was in high school, like when I would listen to Mr. Magic, it was, the lines were blurred between new wave,
100%.
punk, and hip hop because it was the
100%.
same energy.
I mean,
was
Liquid was a new wave record.
Right.
That became the message, of course.
Yeah, exactly. The white lines became right.
Right.
No, but that was like, I remember like when Magic would go off, and then the next thing would be like the new wave shit, and I would just listen because I was like, I was so amped off the hip hop, and I was like, oh, this is.
I mean, electro was incorporating
Here in
new
my
wave
car.
into black music,
Right.
right? And new wave, where it was corny, but when black people like Prince
Yes.
grabbed new wave
Right.
became ill,
Right.
Because new wave was like a little corny, but like, you know, when black cats grabbed new wave, it was next
Well, when it
level.
got funkier, when
Yeah, of
when the
course.
beats, like when I first heard Prince's song, because I wasn't a big Prince fan as much as Lady, was it the Lady Cat or the Cab
Lady
Drive?
Cab Drive,
That
yeah,
shit,
yeah.
I heard that shit on the show after Mr. Magic.
I mean, the new wave shit that he did was like dance music, sexual man,
Yeah,
shit
yeah,
like
yeah,
that,
yeah.
controversy. Those were like the new wave records.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's even a little later. Like, so new wave affected electro music deeply, like shit like You Ain't Really Down by Status 4
Yes.
and records like that. Those are very new wave influence records. And of course, Africa Bambaataa.
Of course,
You know,
changed the game, B.
no,
Like I
and-
didn't even
and
understand that
electro
record.
was very new wave influence, and then of course Blondie came out with rap shit.
Yeah. Well, because you were into Saturday Night Live, man? Did you see when she introduced the Funky 4 plus 1?
Oh, that was amazing.
Did you see that shit?
That was incredible.
I was just showing my girl the video, like yo, like you don't understand how amazing this was. That was the first rap group ever.
That was amazing.
And they were a real rap group. They weren't like, because I hated the Sugar Hill Gang.
Right, I didn't really know what the Sugar Hill Gang's flow was. Like,
Right.
I found out later they were frauds.
Right.
You know?
Although it's actually ill, man. I just spoke to Master G from the Sugar Hill Gang, man, and he for serious, and he was like, yo, they all wrote their rhymes except for Hank.
He did
But they thought
Kaz's
Hank
rhymes.
was the official one.
Right.
So they said after like the Rapper's Delight blew up and they were all happy and they had to write their second album, they were like, Hank wasn't writing, and they were getting these rumors, and after a while they were like Hank, for real? Like you are the first sucker MC? Like, you know what I mean? But it was like this
Wow.
little internal struggle, man. But so how does Beasties, like when you're with the Beasties, man, how do their influences start going? Like what tells them
So-
we can start fucking rapping?
So we we were pretty, like punk rock was getting stale to us.
Yeah.
And we would go to this place, the Fun Gallery.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really me and Mike D. That was my running partner back then. And,
Right.
and we caught wind of the club in the grill. I want to say Ramal Z or Doze, because that was our man, Doze Green.
Right.
The artist, he was our boy. He hipped us to, I think, Negril, and we went to the second one, 1981, and Ramal Z was on the mic. We knew who Ramal was, and I want to say Islam was on the wheels, but I could be wrong. Islam and Bam, and we seen Real Live rapping in front of us. I had seen The Clash and seen Grandmaster Flash get booed already.
At the Bond, when they did
Yeah,
the Bond?
Bonds,
Yeah,
yeah.
because that was big when
Yeah,
the Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5 opened up for
100%. And
Yeah,
the Clash,
for the Clash.
whether you know it or not, they had rapping records, kind of Magnificent Seven.
Yeah.
They were damn near rapping and
That's
Radio
great.
Clash.
Still classic.
Yeah, those are classic, and they got played in black clubs. Those
Yeah.
were like Bambaataa played those records at Roxy. So there was this culture exchange going on, and it seemed like the next logical step. Like, we're progressive kids, and we're like, this is corny, and rap music felt like punk rock to us, right? It was musically very different, but do-it-yourself music.
It was primal.
We felt like it
raw.
was wide open.
Right.
We could be part of it.
Right.
And I remember hearing the early Soulsonic Force shit and going like, oh, this just sounds like Kraftwerk. This sounds like, new wave to us. And I will say that the Beasties, they worked hard at their craft. Rick Rubin shaped them a lot. Ad Rock was a brilliant, brilliant cat, though. Always, he was innately, he was innately part of hip hop. He understood it very early on, quickly, and he helped program the drums when I Need a Beat. No one knows that. And him and Rick had a symbiotic relationship, but he was a late addition to the Beasties. The Beasties were a punk rock band. John quit the band because he just wasn't into it anymore. They had a girl in the band. Kate Schellenbach was a drummer. Rick pushed her out of the band and helped form them as a band. He really dug in deep with them. And I don't want to overstate my importance in any of it, because I was around Rick and them in the dorm a bit, but I was like also, living my own life. And I did really see him add the sauce to him, and Russell too. And he encouraged the rock star shenanigans that would come later.
Right. Did you think that these guys would fucking blow?
Well, actually, I was on the fence, because She's On It, which was supposed to be the big record when the deal happened at Sony, didn't happen, right? The record didn't go down, and it was like, who knows? And L was connecting, he had, I Need a Beat connected, and She's On It didn't connect, and their back was against the wall, and I didn't know, and I clearly remember going to see them at the Apollo when they played with Run DMC, as when Slow and Low had just come,
Brilliant record.
And
Brilliant record. That's
genius.
probably one of my favorite. That's probably
and Hold It Now Hit It.
Yeah.
Right. So that was the A and B side. So they played at the Apollo. It was all black audience. They opened for Run. They came out. People were not feeling them. They started addressing the crowd. They kind of got the crowd hyped, because they're like, "Do you want to see our boys Run DMC?" And people were like, and Ad Rock was like, "Do you want to see our boys Run DMC?" It was like, "Yeah." Right. So it was like they started getting people hyped. They dropped Slow and Low. Bong, the 808 drop. People was like, "Oh shit!"
These white boys.
And I seen people start get into it.
Right.
But people didn't really know that record yet.
Right.
And then they did Hold It Now Hit It. People knew that record because it was getting played on the radio. No one knew they were white. People lost their fucking minds.
It's crazy.
The
So
whole
you
Apollo,
saw them rock
the whole Apollo was standing up going, "Go white boys,
Yeah.
go white boys." Like the whole Apollo. I never seen anything
That's
like
crazy.
that. I remember Biz Markie got backstage and was like, did the beatbox for Hold It Now Hit It to us, and we're like, who the fuck is this guy? And it was just like a wild ass scene, and just the energy around it. I was like, I just remember when they dropped Hold It Now Hit It at the Apollo, I was like, oh, my boy's about to be famous.
You knew
and,
that.
and they had just come off a tour, a little mini run on opening the Fresh Fest, and I heard it was going really well.
Right. And
so, but I hadn't seen it for myself. And then when I seen that, I was like, oh, my boy's about to be real famous.
Right.
Yeah, and we did it. They did a show later that night. It's just so crazy. They rented this. I say they rented this bus to take everyone from the Apollo to the World, and then they played the World right after they did 2 shows at the Apollo.
Shit, the World.
And it was wild. It was like, it was pretty apparent to all of us it was about to happen.
These guys. So you saw it.
Yeah, and Rick was already close to being famous himself.
Right. because of Def Jam. Because
and the battery. He was the battery behind it.
Right.
And when he was a tremendous producer. So, from there you saw it.
How was Russell, man, back in those days?
He was greatest. He was the greatest ever. He was the coolest guy you ever.
Yeah.
You just want to hang around him. His aura was ill.
I mean, Russell.
He had bitches.
Yeah,
he was
he always
smoking
talks about,
dust.
He always talks about how he was always high, and he was always.
He was smoking Newports. He looked older then than now.
He was so grimy.
He was a grimy cat.
What made him so special? What was
He's
it about?
a larger than life, charismatic cat.
He was
funny,
a happy dude.
charming, gregarious, grandiose, but approachable. Always had the ill slang. Half our slang came from him. He was just the coolest, funkiest cat out. Like he was like fucking every bad bitch. He was
on the model.
He was a role model. Like we were like, look at this mother. Look at this cat.
He's older than everybody.
He was that. It felt like he was 10 years old. He's probably only 5 years old.
Russell. How old is Russell?
I'm 51.
Yeah.
Yauk would be 53.
Russell's like
Mikey's
51.
58.
I think Russell's either 58 or 59.
Okay,
He's about
so
to be 60,
he had
but
5+ on us.
Still, he was running hard, B.
Hard. He was inventing the game, and he was like, he's ill because he's a black man from Queens who put himself in the middle of all the downtown cool shit.
Right,
he was like, I'm the coolest black man. Fuck it.
Yeah, and it's funny because
he put the flag down hard.
Yeah, but that it goes to Jessica again because this is when Jessica was at the door.
But that was a little later.
Okay,
a little later.
So he was.
And I remember clearly how we all met her.
Right.
So we used to.
Wait, hold on. Before you met, how did you meet Russell? Like, do you remember the first time you met Russell?
From the Beastie Boys.
Yeah.
100%. And they were like, "This is our man." I was the crazy one. I was the one who always had like a broken hand or a black eye.
Right.
I was always going to jail. I was like,
for shit.
I was the wildest for stealing shit.
Yeah.
Fucking selling drugs. I was like, fucking, I was terrible. I was just like, always had some bitch who was like paying for everything. I was just fucked up.
Right.
I was a bad person.
Yeah.
Reckless little kid.
It's crazy that you acknowledge that.
I was a reckless little kid.
Right. Were you angry? Were you angry?
I was angry.
What were you angry at, man?
I had a dysfunctional upbringing. My mom was a bad alcoholic. My pops was gone.
Away. Yeah.
And I didn't have any. I had really no parental guidance from the age of like 14 on.
In the Lower East Side.
Well, we moved to Brooklyn.
Okay.
We moved to Brooklyn.
Where?
We moved to like pretty far out near Kings Highway because we were poor, and that's the only place we could afford a decent house.
Right.
And my mom was teaching school, but she was like a total alcoholic. So my life was absolutely dysfunctional. I had no parental guidance. No one could tell me shit. And from the age of like 14 to 15 on, I literally had no parental guidance. And my family life was fucked up. It was like that. My mom, God bless, got it together later on in life, but she lost a solid 10 years of her life to alcoholism.
Right. So anyway, so you meet Russell. How do you meet Jessica? Like, tell us how you meet.
So
I used to be scared of her.
This is how we met Jessica.
3 years ago.
We started going to Nell's like opening night. She wasn't the door girl, and they let us in. They were like, "Oh, it's the cool guys." And I had this theory too. It still holds this day. When you show up someplace dressed like a bum, you're inappropriate. You get right in.
Yeah.
So if I rolled up on my skateboard with the backwards baseball hat, I got right in. Right. That's just how it works. So we started going there, and Russell made it his clubhouse. And this is when, I don't know if you remember the first cell phones when they had a big case on them.
Yeah.
Russell had a cell phone, right?
Big ass like phone, half a phone book.
Yeah, it was like a briefcase.
Yeah.
And it had a phone. You had to charge it, and we used to go to Nell's in front. Russell, let us use the phone. We'd get on the phone in front, trying to be cool. We'd like call a girl like I remember like Adrox, like, yeah, I'm on a cell phone. Why don't you come meet us at Nell's?
Yo, that's
like
that. That's crazy.
Wild, right? We were just
at Nell's.
At Nell's, fronting hard.
Yeah.
With like 16 cents between us.
That's crazy, man.
It was before they broke big.
Right.
And she was a waitress there. Fast forward, we went there one night. It's me, Lior, and she always says, it's me, Lior, Sean Karazoff, rest in peace, Captain Pissy, the man who road managed the Beastie Boys, unsung hero, was part of the whole DNA that was the Beastie Boys. English cat. He had worked for Madness and the Specials, The Clash. He was older than us. He was, I think, 6 years older than me.
Damn, you said Madness. That's
yeah.
crazy.
He was from England. He was like an early punk rock real dude.
Yeah.
He looked like He looked like Robert Conrad. He was like, he had a flat top. He was a short dude, good looking cat, mad tough, and he also signed Tribe Called Quest. He was an A&R at Jive later on. So he was my running buddy. He taught me how to drink and calm me down. And I was with him and Lior. We used to always hang out. And we went to Nell's on a Friday night. We thought we were big time. We were buying. Lior bought a bottle of Veuve Clicquot for $45.
That's big. That was
Big.
big. That was big.
Jessica was there chilling. She was working there. I think she was a door girl. She started talking to us.
Right.
We met her. We started hanging out with her, and we instantly bonded with her, and we became friends with her. And I thought she was hot. And I don't know, man. She just became part of our crew,
That's
like real
crazy,
quick.
B.
And then from there, she met Russell, and she was the door girl, and became like part of our clique. She was just down with us from day one. And I will say, like, she was a white girl then. This was way before she was funky fresh.
Right.
And I think this is. I'll blame us for turning her out. She started hanging out with us, and
You guys gutted her out.
that was
man?
it. It was done. After that, she got funky.
Yeah.
You know, so
But her attitude was always the same. though.
Her attitude
She
was
always
always-
had.
she
She
was
always
a-
had that
she's
mean
a
attitude.
tough bitch,
yeah,
yo.
yeah.
She's not having it. She was
Fucking tough, B. Like I
Tough.
used to just be thankful she would let me in the spots.
You know, it's crazy
man.
though. She was like always real sweet to me, and,
Right.
And I never, you know, she introduced me to a woman I went out with for 8 years. She's
Okay.
like my sister. She's one of the only people in the whole world who has had almost the same experience as me. So you know, I've remained friends with her.
Why
And-
didn't
and-
that work, man? What happened with that?
Nah, me and her wasn't. That's not meant to be.
Okay.
She's my homegirl.
Yeah.
You know, me and her, like, I'm strictly in the friend zone with Jessica for life. I keep it over there because I don't want to never knock it in the club.
Yeah. Still,
so,
2017, still, man.
You know, she was known to regulate.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
she's mad cool, man.
Yeah, she
so,
is, man.
and
She is.
She has you know, we came up together. We made our bones together. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, her and Captain and the Beasties and even Lior. Like we, you know, Lior was
How
on
was
before
Leo,
us.
man? How was Leo?
He was a fucking asshole.
Really?
But he was my asshole.
Right.
You know what what that's like.
Yeah. He was a shooter.
He's mean.
Right.
He was mean.
He
but
was mean, right?
He was mean.
Right.
Man, he used to abuse me. I worked for him. He
Right.
abused me. He was abusive.
Right.
But also
what kind
loving.
of shit would he do that was abusive?
Just scream and yell. He never talked like a normal person.
Right.
And just berate you, belittle you.
You are so stupid, like shit like that.
Dante, you are such a stupid fuck.
Did that affect you, man?
I mean, it made me tough.
Right,
Made
but
me
then
tougher.
when he was doing it initially, did you
yeah, I
feel
hated
sad?
that. I
Like,
used to
were you
hate
like
that motherfucker?
Yeah, but
yo.
how did this thing become a job? Like you're hanging with them.
So
You're hanging with
I was
Russell.
wor-
You're
I was
hanging with the
working in a
Beast.
restaurant.
Yo, this guy has the
I'm
best.
working-
You
I'm
need
working
a
in a
fucking
restaurant.
movie.
I went
Yo,
out-
Mogul next season. Dante Ross.
That's
I
a
mean,
fact.
I'm going out with this girl. She's bad. Lior liked my girl. This is real talk.
Uh-oh.
He became my good friend, but it started because he was loving my girl.
He was
who wasn't
getting
giving
too
him
close.
No play. Nah.
Was he getting? He was. Yeah. So you weren't even jealous.
Lior looked like Herman Munster.
Yes,
man.
yes, he
I'm
did,
A,
but
I'm
yeah,
a, I was a pretty motherfucker. Come
We
on,
described him as Lurch on the
Yeah,
Mogul.
man. But he was mad tough. I'll
Right.
give it to him. He's a fearless cat. I've been in some places with Lior where he didn't flinch. I'm like, man, this guy got it.
Right.
He got that Israeli shit.
Yeah.
So
the rumor
so
is like his parents were like, fuck, his dad was like fucking.
his dad was a diamond merchant.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And he didn't grow up with his dad. He grew up with his mom.
Right, okay.
So Lior just took a shine to me, man. He loved me. He thought I could do something. Sean co-signed me. I was working in a restaurant. I was making really good money.
What restaurant, man?
I worked at Tortilla Flats.
Okay.
So I was a waiter there at this place called Gulf Coast.
Did
owned
you
by
like the
same
job,
people.
man?
Hated that fucking
Yeah.
job.
But it was good money.
So I made like $1,000 cash a week, banged everything that moved,
Yes.
and had a living girlfriend.
Yes.
Right. So
Were you buying drugs now?
I was
A little bit.
I was fucking with the Chi-Chi a little
Yes,
bit.
I mean, listen.
That was the years.
It was
That's
the
how
years.
we did it back
dude.
then.
I'm not mad at those years, B.
Yeah, you know. So I was, you know, and I wasn't going nowhere. I was like, man, I'm gonna be a 30-year-old motherfucker starring at a restaurant.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
like all the dudes I was working with were fucking trying to be actor guys.
Yeah.
And I wasn't trying to do that. I'm not trying to be an actor. And Sean, I was like, man, I need a job. And he convinced Leo to give me a job. And I remember going from making close to $1,000 a week to making $216 a week.
Damn, you're lucky.
And and they weren't taking my taxes.
Actually, I'm sorry. I'm lucky. Because when I got out of law school, and at first they didn't pay me shit. And then Andy Tavel.
Oh, who was my lawyer?
Andy Tavel was
Andy
the
Tavel
first.
was very important in my story.
Andy Tavel was the first. He was very important. He's the first person that hired
Love
me.
Andy.
And I have a story similar to yours.
He didn't let me. He didn't give me G-Eazy though. That fuck.
Word. He didn't. But Andy was arguing with Russell like, motherfucker,
Oh,
you
yeah,
got
they
a
used to
black
go.
dude working for you. Pay the fucking man. He's got a fucking law degree, and they finally paid me like $250 a week.
Man.
Which you know,
Well, them dudes is cheap.
cheap,
yo.
right? So anyway, you're making like $219 a
I
week.
mean, Lior is still cheap, yo. That's a cheap man.
But did you like the job? Did you like the job?
I liked it and hated it.
What did you hate about it?
I didn't like getting yelled at by
Right.
Lior.
You're right.
You know, I didn't like being the lowest man on the totem
Yeah,
pole.
yeah.
But that said, I also had access to tons of shit. I got to be friends with Run DMC.
Yes.
Jay was my man. I played ball with them. I got yelled at by Run.
And this is Rush. You're working at Rush specifically.
The Rush
Right.
Productions.
Right. On Elizabeth.
Yeah, and I was the office messenger. I took Ricky Powell's job.
Right.
Ricky
And you're delivering
delivering.
Leor's lunch.
Yeah, shit
What the
like
fuck
that.
did he eat, man?
He liked Chinese food.
Really?
Yeah, he was big on Chinese food. He'd be like, I said shrimp fried rice, you fucking idiot. You know what I mean? I was like,
Damn.
yeah, he was tough. And running up to Sony a lot. And this is the best. One day, I was going up to Sony. I was like, yo, you know what? Like, I see these guys up here working. I'm going to dress fly. I'm going to start. I got a briefcase.
Did you have slacks on, man?
I put on some Benetton joints.
Okay.
Trying to be fly. I had a little Lacoste or some shit. Trying to be fly. Had my hair done. Fucking-
Specifically to go to the black building.
yeah, and I had like an envelope in a briefcase. I didn't have shit. I had to, like bring like an envelope to Donnie Einer's office or some shit, and I fucking went up there and I actually half did it so they wouldn't treat me like shit when I had to deliver a package,
Yeah.
right? So like I went up there and I came back and Russell seen me. He's like, "Motherfucker, what the fuck are you doing?" I was like, "Yo, chill." I was feeling myself. He was like, "Yo, don't ever dress like that again." I was like, fuck. He's like, "You see me?" I was like, "Yeah, you look like a bum." He was like, "That's right. They pay me to look like a bum. I dress like this. They think I know everything." So when you start dressing like them, you ain't getting shit.
Yep.
He's like, "I'm telling you right now, never get rid of the briefcase. Don't ever dress like that again." And I realized what he was saying.
That was my first experience at that when I went to interview.
Oh, you tried to be fly?
I had a suit on. I mean,
He
that's,
didn't like
that's, how,
bougie
that's how I
dudes.
was trained. I had a suit
Yeah.
on. I had the fucking hard shoes and the briefcase. And Andy walks me in the office. He said, "What the fuck are you doing wearing a suit in my office? I shouldn't fucking hire you."
Yeah, that's Russell.
And I was like, "What?"
He got
and
it,
then,
though.
And then I got it though.
Yeah,
And
he was
it
right.
took me and I mean, I wore suits eventually, but I hate these bitches, right? Unless I have to wear them.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I don't mind wearing a suit these days.
Yeah. I mean, last night was the first time in a long
You was
time.
looking fly, though.
Thank
You
you,
had
man.
the
Thank you.
three-piece.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yo, so you're on the road now. How do you go from being like the messenger, like going on the road and road managing?
So Sean was my man. He was the Beastie's road manager. He was like, "You could do this shit. You're organized when you want to be." So
Yeah.
So I just like Leroy was like, "Yo, you got to go do this, go do that. Take Eric B here, do this, do that." I just started doing it. I have no choice, and it was a step up. It was a way to get up. My man Tony Rome, who road managed LL, took me under the wing, took me on the road with him, had me do the advanced stuff, which basically was the shittiest job. You got to do radio in the morning. I have to go wake everyone up for him, and then get them all in the lobby to go to radio, and then I'll go to radio with them. So I'm the first one up, and probably the last one to go to sleep. I was
Yeah.
Tony Rome's slave.
Yeah.
But God bless Tony Rome. I
Yeah,
don't
and
know
the
where he is now, but he
discipline. I
gave
mean,
me-
the
he taught me
discipline
what
for
to
that,
do.
man. Yeah,
100%.
Like, was it hard though, man? Because like
was hard.
we're doing this like this mogul store. We're talking about like when Chris was road managing the Jungle Brothers, man,
Yeah.
and how you really got to be
That
the
shit's
wrangler.
hard.
Yeah.
That shit is super hard, especially think about Rakim. He
Right.
don't like to show up for nothing.
How
He won't do
how
shit.
was that back in the day? He still doesn't.
I mean, it was cool because
Eric B and Rakim.
it was cool because Rakim is the best dude ever.
Yeah.
I love him. It's my man. Ra he's a king. Eric B was a bully.
Yeah.
You know what it is.
Did he try to bully you?
I mean, yeah. When I stopped working for him, he threatened me.
Right.
You know, he was like, "I can't believe you. I should fuck you up. I blessed you with
About
the chain."
what? About what?
Who knows,
Right,
man?
right,
You
yeah.
know, bullies are bullies.
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know, so, and I'm also like, I'm not scared of bullies because like I grew up with dudes who would like knock you out, stab you, and take your sneakers.
Right.
So like to me, I'm like, yo, do it if you're doing it. Like, talk about it as bullshit. Just
Yeah.
fuck me up if you're fucking me up.
Yeah.
So I'm immune to all that. And Lior too is immune to it. Like I seen people say the wildest shit to Lior, and he just looks at him like, fuck out of here. So see, that's part of it.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was a great experience. I love Ra. He's a great dude.
And you're traveling too.
Traveling.
Yeah. What was
you
the
know.
craziest place you traveled at the time?
I mean, Europe.
Yeah.
Shit like that, going on the Concorde and,
Right.
and all that.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
I never made the Concorde.
We had to get him on the Concorde because it was non-refundable, and it was like he just kept missing the flights. And I
This
literally took
is
him.
Rakim.
I took him from he told this story too. He's like, "You motherfucker, I'll never forget this." I took him from a show at Red Parrot back to the hotel at Penn South. He thought he was going home to pick his shit up. I had his brother take his shit and put it in the car for him already, and we went to JFK, and we went to Newark and we left.
That's crazy.
And left on the Concorde. And he was like, why fuck we going to Jersey? I was like, don't worry. And we went. I hoodwinked him.
That's how you got to do it, man.
Yeah, man.
Who else did you road manage, man?
That's it, really. That was.
Okay.
I mean, I've been on the road with lots of people. That was really the only one.
So how did your shit go from this to A&R, man?
So I came back. I didn't have a job. I knew.
What happened to your job?
I mean, I had like, I'm a road manager now,
Yeah.
so I'm office messenger again. It's like whatever.
Yeah.
I've already here, and I'm going back here.
Right. So you were tired.
I'm tired. I was over it.
Yeah.
Lior was like, I want you to go work in Kara Lewis's office. You'll be my spy. You work for Kara.
Talent agents.
Yeah, I went to work for Kara at William Morris.
How was
it
that?
wasn't William Morris. It was Norby Walters.
Norby
It
Walters.
was fucking horrible. She's the meanest person I ever worked for.
Really?
in my
Another mean
entire-
person.
I mean, she made Lior look like Jesus. Like, she was unbelievable. Yo, she was so evil to me. And I was really...
Why? Was she evil to everybody? Was
Yes.
She? Yes, okay.
Yes. And she was just mean to me. But at the same time, no lie, I was spying for Lior straight up the whole time. I'm looking at
getting a
who's
check?
touring what, doing what. He wasn't giving me a check. I didn't know you could double dip back then.
Right. But you were getting a check from her.
Yeah, a small check.
Yeah.
And
You talk about that, man. You talk about not knowing how to double dip back then.
yeah, I didn't know. I didn't
Puffy
understand
is
that.
the king of double dipping.
Oh man, if I knew if I just, I was never ruthless like
right.
that.
Like you were producing records.
Not yet.
Okay,
That's
no,
coming.
right,
That's
right,
coming.
okay.
So Daddy-O nominates me for an A&R job at Tommy Boy.
Why Daddy-O? What's your relationship with Daddy-O?
That's my man. I knew him from going on the road because Stetzer wasn't. Tommy Boy was at war with Lior and them.
Yeah.
They didn't want to give Stetzer shine at radio. I used to take them to radio with me. So Daddy-O was like, "Oh, I love this kid. He's looking out cost."
Daddy-O's such a good
And here's the reason why. Go Stetzer was my shit. They used to play that in the quarters and people get knocked out. Your chain got stolen. That was one of the all-time most aggressive songs. That and PSK are the start of riot songs.
PSK and MC
South
also
Bronx.
like South Bronx.
Ego tripping.
Ego tripping. That's
Yeah,
what
those
it
are
was.
tuck your chain records.
Exactly.
Yeah, J. Rue the Damager later on. That's
Yeah,
another
exactly.
one. You get punched in the mouth.
Exactly.
When that comes on.
Yeah. Shook ones too.
Killer Man,
Yeah,
Cypress Hill. Yeah, those are records that get people beat up.
Yeah, exactly.
So and that's what hip hop's about.
Of course.
Right? So he nominated me for the gig. They had offered it to him. Monica hit me up. I had an interview and she played me the demo for Plug Tuning. I lost my mind. She called me 2 weeks later.
You said they were like
It was
Ultra?
Slick Rick meets Ultramagnetic. That's the
crazy.
only thing I could compare it to
Right.
because it was so different. And those were, to me, the two most left field groups.
Right.
Right? I love Slick Rick.
How were those guys when they were younger, man? De La.
They were cool.
Yeah.
They were great.
Yeah.
They're the best. They're still the best. I spoke to Pops 2 days ago.
Yeah. Did you know that Mace was the thug of the crew, man?
I did because me and him were the dudes always getting in trouble together.
Yeah.
Me and him went to Philly one time and jacked up the limo driver.
We all fucked up the limb. Why?
'Cause he tried to bring his girl in the car and talk crazy to us, and we were having. It was like, yo, she's out the car, and he got sunned. Yeah, me and Mace, they used to be like you two together. It's no good.
Yeah.
We were just always in trouble
Yeah,
together.
Mace told me the craziest story, man.
Me and
about-
him used to get in trouble.
He told me the craziest story about how he had to move out of Brooklyn and move to. I mean, I'm not gonna get into it, but he had to.
Yeah, Mace is a wild kid.
Like, I didn't know. You hear Daylight and
Yeah,
I mean, you hear the records. Yeah,
Biddies in the BK Lounge.
Yeah,
they
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about, them kids from Long Island, like them, they were getting in fights all over the country.
Yeah.
Later on,
Of course.
because everyone thought they were
they were
soft,
right?
and they
so
weren't.
they're your first signing.
So I'm gonna say Monica really signed me.
Okay, and Monica
Right.
was amazing, right?
Yo, Monica Lynch is the most unheralded person in the history of the game. She invented like cross branding, like when she did the Carhartt Stussy Tommy Boy jacket. She made the brand so prominent and important. She understood branding like no one else. Before people were talking about the shit, she innately did it.
Right, King. Just remind me. I've been talking to Monica.
Yeah,
for
you need
years
to get
about
her
having on
on.
the show, but I do need to have her on
She,
the show.
I have a couple of mentors in my life: Captain
Right.
Pissy, Russell, Lior, and Monica Lynch.
That's a great lineup.
I mean,
man.
she's amazing.
Yeah.
So she gave me the job.
Right. Let me ask you. Let me keep. They hate when I interrupt, but how was Tom, man? How was Tom Silverman?
He's
Is it weirdo?
I'm not fucking with him.
Right,
man.
right.
To this day, I mean, I'm civil with him, and I have to give him his props and respect. But Tom is, it's not, that's not my guy. She's
Right.
my people.
I got you.
You know,
I got you.
So
But Monica.
she's amazing.
Now-
They should call the Monica Boy.
Tom Silverman. That's Tommy Boy Records, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So she gives me the job, and that's the first thing she puts in my lap. Bang. You know that group? I signed them. It's you. You're going to work with them. I meet them. We're enamored by each other. I'm the crazy white kid. They're fucking, he's bugged out. You know, they're the most eccentric cats I'd ever seen in rap. But reminded me of all my friends from downtown because my boys all have flat tops.
Yeah.
Was wearing stripy
And these cats
shirts.
were definitely different.
They were different, but, you know, they fit in with what was going on in the village.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it all made sense. I saw that. I was just tripping more on anything that they were that progressive from Long Island.
Right.
Right? So,
But if you look back, man, a lot of progressive groups are from Long Island. I mean, you're talking about PE, you're talking about Eric B. and Rakim.
you know why, right?
Because I mean, they got room. They got a little bit of air. They got
Right.
a little. They got these
They got
little
a basement.
Yeah, they're middle
They got
class.
a basement to make a little studio.
They're middle class,
Right.
but it's still hood. It's middle class hood.
Amityville's hood.
Yeah,
Hampstead's
and they're
hood,
reading books.
Roosevelt is
I mean,
hood.
they're smart fucking.
They escaped. They're trying to live the
exactly.
dream.
Exactly.
They might have a basement with a little setup.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
but
think-
Long Island always fucked me up too because I thought it was some like like Hicktown and all these fucking prolific.
Yeah.
A lot of
Public
motherfuckers.
Enemy.
Yeah, Bismarck,
I mean,
whatever the fuck.
DMC.
Exactly.
I mean, a lot of people
Yeah.
from Buster.
yeah,
Leaders.
definitely leaders.
I mean, Fife.
Yes.
KMD.
Yes.
It goes on and on.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
they're
yes.
they're like the last wave of the golden era is
Right.
all Long Island shit.
Yeah, definitely, man.
You know. So De La, they were dropped in my lap. It was a pleasure to work with them. I knew Paul already. Paul
Prince
was
Paul.
my man from Stetson stuff.
Right.
I saw him last night. He's a great
I
dude.
missed him last night.
Yeah,
man.
he was there last night. He's amazing. He's the best dude ever.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a pleasure. And the first thing I technically signed was Queen Latifah. Yeah, so.
Tell us that story, man, because I heard you tell it on Mic Check.
Okay, so.
And I love, how Red Alert, man, like the ecosystem
yeah,
between
he's the
him sending
greatest.
you and then you sending him. Like,
Oh,
tell
man.
that story, man.
So-
And tell us
so-
why Red Alert is the greatest person
we'll
in hip hop.
backtrack a little. I'm working at Rush.
Yeah.
I'm going to Latin Quarters. There's no white people in the Latin Quarters. There's MC Search, Funk and Klein, and me. That's it, right?
Search is
And
busy dancing.
Search is busy dancing, but that's where I met Search and linked with him.
Yeah.
Red Alert's there. I end up going upstairs in the booth. I hang out with Red. He becomes my man. I had the honor of literally giving him Bring the Noise test press, right? Because they had me run around and give test press to people. So he liked me. I gave him Bring the Noise. I'm on, right? He's like, this kid brought me heat. So he's my man. He lived uptown. Occasionally I'll roll out with him. I lived on 108th and Broadway. He's 113th, Adam Clayton Powell. Mike G went to school with people I knew. So I'm knowing him, the Jungle Brothers. I'm watching it all unfold. I'm in the mix. This club called Hotel Amazon is downtown. They start bringing hip-hop shit down there. I'm in there all the time. I'm going to Quarters, Amazon, Paradise Garage. We're going to all these spots. I'm going to places like Silver Shadows.
Oh, Bentley's? Silver
Bentley's.
Shadow? Oh.
Right? I'm trying
I
to
know you're the
live.
only white dude in there.
Oh, 100%.
That shit is so fake,
100%.
bushy black, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you this too, and this may sound wrong, but if you're the only white dude in any all black crowd, you always pull a bitch.
Yeah,
guaranteed.
easy, yeah.
There's something will present itself every single fucking time. It's wild.
White privilege, man.
Yo, that's like the only white privilege I ever had.
Yeah.
So I'm going to Red Parrot.
Yeah.
All these spots. I'm running around. Faith Newman's in the mix. She was working at Def Jam. That's
Right.
my sister for life. She's the best. Red takes a shot at me. We become friends, right? Red's my guy. I literally could call him on the phone. Yeah, what's up tonight, Uncle? Like, what are you doing? So, and then
And he's killing the radio.
and I brought him
he's
plugged in.
He's killing the radio.
Man,
like
he's
he
the
was
king.
the hottest.
In the whole world.
Yes.
His tapes is everywhere.
Yes.
I'm going to LA and dudes got the tapes. I'm going to London, people got the tapes. Right? He's the sound provider for the whole world.
Yes.
Most influential hip hop DJ in the world at this point. And the most accessible. Right? He's like the
Most
most
accessible.
humble.
Yeah.
I'm hanging out with him and Jeff Fox throwing a frisbee in front of the Palladium, right? Like after the party. Like he's my
That's
man.
crazy. That's crazy.
It drives me home. He's my guy. So I gave him plug tuning. He played that shit the next day.
Kilt.
And I was like, I'm 2 for 2 with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
I signed Latifah. I gave him the record during the
Which
New
one?
Music Seminar. Wrath of My
Yo,
Madness.
can we talk about
Oh, let's talk about how I found her
yeah,
first.
yeah.
45 King comes up to me in Latin Quarters. He says, You're Dante Ross? No interwebs back then. How the fuck he knows who I am? I don't know. I'm like, yeah. He's like, yo. I was like, who are you? He's 45 King. So in my mind, 45 King is 7 feet tall, right? Because his promos are everywhere. And he's he's one of the nastiest. So he did the Lighty record. That's the only record he had out. I love that record. It's Cuts Got Flavor. I was like, oh, you did this Cuts Got Flavor. He's like, yeah, you want to hear some music? He pulled out a Walkman and some big headphones. Bang, put them on. His headphones was greasy too, no lie.
Yeah.
He had some sweaty headphones. You know that you don't never want to wear no one's headphones,
Yeah.
right? So
At least it ain't earbuds.
I was like this. I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
But regardless, Mark played heat.
He played Heat.
Heat. I'm in the Latin quarters trying to hear, like, go out in the lobby type shit. And I'm like, damn, like, come see me. I'm a Tommy boy. Bong bong. Him and Fat Five Freddy called me. Freddie was my man back in the days.
What was his affiliation with 45?
He was people with them. Freddie
Right.
Freddie got around. He was a good politician. He he was down
Freddie
with
was
Red.
everywhere. Everywhere.
Yeah, he's ubiquitous.
Yeah.
He was my man back then. Later on, not so much. So me and Freddie and him start playing me music over the phone. They play me Latifah, Wrath of My Madness. I said, what the fuck is that?
Wasn't that one of the? I mean, I think that's the really first time. I mean, that's the first time I was like, I fuck with a female MC.
Yeah, me
like, that
too,
was the
pretty
first
much.
because I'm,
Pretty
you know,
much.
it's hard. Like, I mean,
Yeah, I
and I
like
know it's a
female
sexist
rappers.
game, and
They got
you
a
know,
nasal voice.
yeah, but like Latifah,
Light,
people don't
Lauryn Hill,
remember.
there's
People
like a
don't
handful I
remember
fuck with.
when Latifah was king of this shit.
She was the shit.
Yes, fuck Queen. She was king of this shit. B.
So I hit up Mark. I said, come see me next week. Come check me out.
Yeah.
He comes, no Fat Five. I do not know why. I told him, bring all your artists in place. If he brings Lighty, Apache, Latifah, and I
whole
want to
unit?
say Chill Rob G, but it might have been Marky Fresh.
Right. I remember Marky Fresh.
I think it was Marky Fresh. He passed away. Rest in peace.
Did he?
Yeah, I heard that.
I-
So
recently?
a couple years back.
Okay.
And
He used to hang out at Def Jam a lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
He was bugged out. So he was like maybe in the flavor unit, maybe not.
Right.
And they played a bunch of records by everyone, and I was enamored by Latifah, and I pulled Monica in the room in the office. So come listen to this. She was like, oh my God. She's like, it's great. She's like, come to my office now. She's like, we have to sign this. She's amazing. So I was like, yeah, we want to offer you a record deal. Richard Grable was her lawyer. We literally went and played basketball 2 blocks away afterwards and smoked dirt weed. I bonded with them. 45 King was my man, and we did the deal for dirt cheap with Richard Grable, who is still one of the greatest attorneys, best dude ever.
Yeah. And look at Latifah now, man.
I mean,
did
dude.
you even imagine?
I mean,
Was she royalty back then? Oh,
I mean, she walked in the room and lit it up.
Right.
She had it from day one.
right.
Like,
But
you
to
know.
have America in the
mean,
palm
so-
of her hands.
So that's the one thing my mom always would be like, and my son discovered Queen Latifah. That was like her big, like, she didn't really understand what I did.
Yeah.
And her only real relationship to rap music was Queen Latifah, and she loved Bone Thugs and Harmony, and asked me
crazy.
why I couldn't make rap music like that. Why don't you
crazy.
make rap music like
That's
that?
crazy.
That's real music. Like, okay, The Crossroads was her favorite song.
Yo, that's crazy. Yo, we got to wrap it up, man. I mean, you need another part because
Let's do it.
we didn't even get through half
Yeah,
of
we're
my things.
like right here.
I know, man, but let's talk about, man, like the greatness that was Puba.
Oh man,
Let's talk about that.
it's the greatest rapper who blew it all.
Right, like you really feel. I think you said this the
I
last
mean,
time.
he's the greatest underachiever in the history of rap music.
You feel that he could have been the greatest of all
I
time.
mean, he was right there. Like,
Right.
and Bus will tell you that too, because see, like when I had Bus and all them signed, Puba was the top of the hill.
He was the GOAT.
He was the GOAT.
Which
He was-
by the way, Combat, that was my first time when I was reading credits. Even though the album had already came out,
one?
Case of the PTA,
Yeah.
Lisa New School,
Yeah.
and I started reading the linear notes, and I realized, like, oh, what's the A&R? Like, you know what I mean? And Dante Ross was the first. I'm like, well, who's this guy? And I see his name pop up in other albums that I like.
That's what
and
Jeff
I'm like,
Blaze always
who's this
tells me.
dude?
Dante,
you know what I
Dante
mean?
was everywhere, man.
Yeah.
And
I started putting Mr. Dante Ross because Doom would fuck with me, and I'd be like, yo, that's Mr. to you. And then he was like, yo, he credited me as Mr. Dante Ross. So I started using that.
But what's crazy is in real life, as I was moving in the game and going to office, this guy was everywhere. This Dante was fucking everywhere, man.
That's how we did it,
Yeah,
man. You
yeah.
know, we didn't have no internet. We had to do it in real life.
Yeah, man, you had to you got to lace up your boots and go. But yeah, so
So Puba, you know,
man.
we were watching him since Masters of Ceremony when we were making
Bought
De
that
La.
album.
We loved him. We was looking up to him. He was one of our favorites. I wanted him to produce Queen Latifah. he missed like 17 meetings with me.
Come on, man.
Because you know, he always had the yard man shit, and she was fucking with the dancehall shit. So I thought together they could make some fly shit.
Of course.
Because I love that song Redder Posse. That was with Don Barron and
Yes.
Mass Ceremony. I was a fan. So I tried to link them, and they kept missing meetings. But he showed up one day, and he played me a record they made off a pause tape. Ain't Going Out Like That. It was brand Nubian. And I was like, yo, I like this a lot. And I was like, one song, and I was like, I want to sign y'all. And
When you heard Sadat's voice, man, what the fuck did you think?
well, what bugged me out is that when I heard Sadat's voice, I also had heard that Puba was rapping a little different. He had changed his style a little bit. And like, I don't care what anyone says, Puba, before he messed with X, didn't rap how he rapped after he messed with X. And people don't really know that. So I signed him. I actually, so I told him I want to sign him, but I told him chill, because I'm about to go to Electra.
Right.
And you're going to be my first group I sign. So Monica was like, oh, I love Grand Puba. And I was like, yeah. She was like, and I was like, and fast forward when I told her I was leaving, she was like, well, I just want to say I don't think it's ethical if you sign Grand Puba because you found that here. And I said, oh, don't worry, I'm not signing Grand Puba. I'm not going to sign Grand Puba. Because I wasn't. I was going to sign Brand Nubian.
Brand Nubian.
Yeah, so, you know.
And she didn't sign Grand Puba either.
No.
Was she pissed, or was she pissed at you, though? Was she pissed, man?
Nah, she never held no grudge on anything with me. Nah, she's all love. Tom, I think, was salty about some things.
Of course. Yeah. You know, how was, man, you really got a chance to work with one of my top fives, man.
Who that?
Doom.
Oh, he's the best.
Like how was he, man, when they were, like, you signed KMD, right?
Yeah.
Like, how was he, man? Did you see that?
He was a, you know, so back then you can't talk about Doom without talking about Sub Rock.
Yes.
Right? So they were symbiotic, yin
His
yang,
brother.
finish each other's sentences,
Right.
beyond brothers. They were like one entity. And they were amazing. They were, you know, so I'm like, I'm rewriting my book. I'm going over with my editor, and I'm working on the Black Bastards chapter this weekend. Actually, I worked on it, and very emotional. Like, you should do a MF Doom, a joint on him.
Dude,
we should talk. About
I
it.
need to.
We should talk about
it. How many years I've been talking about Doom?
Since day one.
Since day one.
We can do it.
I'll fly out.
Because I'm the only person. You know, there's
I
three
will
or four
fly
people
out,
he fucks
dude.
with.
I will fly out specifically. If you tell me this weekend, I'm flying out.
We'll make it happen.
Yeah. He's not gonna send a Doom bot, right?
Y'all was in that video
we'll
together, right?
go
The third
see
Yeah,
it.
base
we were in
joint.
the third. We're in the gas phase.
Yeah,
video,
yeah. So Doom and Sub were like one person. I've never seen anyone. They were so smart, but so innocent, but so
They were
wise.
innocent when they were running with
But
third base, right?
But wise at the same
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
And cynical, but open-minded. They were like a lot of like duality in the way they acted, but super talented. And what people don't know is that Sub Rock did a lot of the music. Doom was always mad lazy. So he would start things, and Sub would always finish them.
Right.
So Doom would have the initial idea, but Sub would bring it home.
He was a finisher.
Yeah, he was the finisher and more of the technician of the two. Doom was more of the rapper. And, you know, they had this, like, relationship, though, and they would just ridicule each other nonstop. And they jokes. They spoke their own coded language.
And their own pig Latin.
Nah, just their own shit. Hieroglyphics did it too when I met them.
Right.
There's just certain crews got their own slang, and if you're not keyed into it, you don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Right.
So, you know, they had their own swag, their whole own thing, and they were devout Muslims. They would stop the session and pray 5 times a day at that point. They were amazing, man. They were wonderful kids, and they were kids. You know, Doom was a young man, and Sub Rock was a kid, damn near, and you know, they were like my little brothers. I had a very familiar feeling with them, and they did their entire demo. They tracked it all the ideas in my studio with my old engineer. Took them 3 months to do it before they made the record, so they kind of made the record twice.
Right.
So I was around them a lot, and it was a pleasure, man. I mean, Doom is, what 18-year-old kid from from Long Island, from Long Beach or Lakeview is listening to, is reading Charles Bukowski. Like, you know, he was
really reading that back then.
Oh yeah, he was like a different kind of kid. Like he would come to your house and just absorb everything. Like, I think he copped the Bukowski from me, but he was just that kid. He wanted to know, to learn.
Right.
He was that guy. He was intellectually gifted, as was Sub Rock. Technically and intellectually gifted, extremely advanced. So I don't know what was going on in their house, what their DNA is, but those kids were light years ahead of most of their peers.
Right.
You know, they were like, I I always think Q-Tip was like that too, because I knew Tip in high school, and Tip was worldly beyond his years. At 17,
Right.
his knowledge of music was like ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, Africa was like that too. Sometimes you meet these kids and they're so ahead of the game.
Their depth.
Yeah,
It's
like
crazy.
you don't even know. You know, it makes me wonder what was going on in their house.
Right. Did you have any inkling, man, that Zev Love could be this guy?
I mean, I did, because he was so talented, so young. Did I know it would become MF Doom? No. But like I think of Doom, and I've said this before, like, so he is a metaphor for black people, for a black man. Hand someone some bullshit, watch them make that shit work for them, right? He was handed adversity 2 times that would ruin most people, but because
which is the death of his brother.
Death of his brother and
And
getting dropped
getting
from
dropped,
Elektra,
yeah.
right? So these things happen in the span of 1 year. But this guy reinvents himself,
Disappears.
disappears, reinvents himself as MF Doom, and becomes this thing that did not exist before him. He reinvents himself and basically invents the new underground rap, the new backpack rap, whatever you call it. And I don't like backpack rap. I don't like underground rap, but I like MF Doom.
Yeah.
Right? So half that other shit, fuck that shit.
Yeah.
But him, he's dope. And so he took adversity and he sucked it up. And he made himself bigger, better, stronger. To me, that's black people's history in America.
How's he doing, man?
He's not doing so good out here.
Really? Why?
I don't know.
What's going on, man?
I don't know, man. I don't have specifics.
Right,
I heard
right.
it's, things are strange.
Of course.
I think he drinks a lot.
Of course.
I
Yeah.
love
You stopped
him.
drinking.
I stopped drinking.
When did you stop drinking?
6 years ago today.
6 years ago today.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations,
Yeah,
man.
man.
Was that hard?
It was harder to stop smoking weed.
Right.
Yeah, I smoked weed every day since I was 13.
You're straight edge right now.
100%. I
Why?
drink coffee.
Why?
So straight edge, definite straight edges. I wouldn't have sex or drink coffee, so
Right.
I'm not straight edge.
Okay, but why? I'm curious why. Because I remember you were tweeting about it a couple of years ago.
Because at the my father passed away, and I took care of him for like the last year of his life. My mother had Alzheimer's during this time period, and alcohol and drugs was taking me to a dark place. I was depressed, unhappy, miserable. Had a bad breakup with the lady, and these things combined with me drinking most every night and smoking weed all day every day took me to a dark place.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to live my life like that anymore. And one day I just had a flash from something bigger than me. Call it God, call whatever you want. And the notion to gain clarity in my life became apparent to me. And with the help of I'm not ashamed to say it, a 12-step program. I've remained sober to this day, and I get to help other people get sober. And I speak in detoxes and rehabs, and
That's dope,
and
man.
I preach the gospel of sobriety. If you want it, it's there for you. I don't push it on anyone, but if anyone ever wants to, try and get it together and wants to investigate what being sober is like, I'm here with my hand out to you. And if that's not for you, God bless. Hope you don't hurt yourself out there,
What's the difference with regard? You said you were seeking clarity. What's the difference with the clarity? Like, tell me the difference.
So for me, the gift is the gift of pause, reflection. I get to I don't mean pause. The gift of pause. It's like when things happen, I can sit in it, and when uncomfortable situations arise, I can sit in it. Right? I don't have to escape, be it via alcohol and drugs, weed, whatever it is, Vicodin, whatever I'm fucking with. I can sit there and let it take its natural course, aka God's will. I understand that I'm protected and taken care of by something much bigger than me, right? So I am allowed to let things take their natural course instead of forcing my will, because my will in anything will fuck it up. If my selfish ego gets involved in it, I'm probably going to do something shitty, right? So it's the gift of dealing with uncomfortability in a rational way, and also acknowledging that I'm not the be end all of everything. My ego has I still got a huge ego, but my ego has been turned down a whole lot, and I just get to actually have gratitude for all the things I've had in my life instead of coveting the shit that I want, right? Because the things I want, probably not always that good for me, right? I want that bad bitch. I want that car. I want that $3 million or whatever it is, So that stuff's not necessarily going to get me the inner peace I seek,
Right.
Because my life has been like a 12-round boxing match. So ups and downs and good and bad, but like now I get to really just be present and enjoy my life in the moment, you know? I don't know if you know what Bob Evans is, but
Yeah.
so I always like to think
Kid
of
stays in the picture, right?
Right. I always think of my career as I'm the hip hop version of Bob Evans. Right? It's gone like
It's a
this.
great movie too.
You know, it's a great movie. So
Yeah.
so you know, I always like, and he's a sober guy, so you know, for me it's like it just changed my life for the better so measurably. And it's not only a gift to me, it's a gift to everyone around me.
Right.
Because I don't go to work and rip my assistant's head off anymore.
Right. You
And
used
I
to,
don't
huh?
get mad when someone bumps into me.
Right,
and,
right.
and I'm not like gonna, you know, I'm not walking around harboring all this negative shit anymore.
That's
you know?
dope. All from quitting drinking and smoking.
Well, so I went to a 12-step program to stop drinking and smoking, but the gifts I got were spiritual, right? So it brought me much closer to my version of God, and I incorporated prayer and meditation in my daily runnings and all of these things, you know, were the like icing on the cake, the fringe benefits. I just went to not wake up with a fucking hangover every day and not
like I did this morning.
not fucking lose my phone. And, You know, I owed the tax man a lot of money, and just to be a responsible individual.
Of course.
And beyond that, to deal with the loss of my father, right?
I know that hit you hard, man.
I love my dad. So, you know, for me, I had to deal with that sober to work my way through it. And I was able to do it.
Amazing, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, look, if anyone ever in the whole world, like, you know, you wanna try and get it together, you feel like you might have a problem, my hand is out to you. I'm always there to help the next man. That's what we do.
That's dope, man. Last question. Top 5 MCs.
Top 5 MCs.
And
Rakim.
and no particular
No order.
Right.
Rakim, Jay-Z, Eminem, Nas. Who's number 5? Those 4 always come quick. It's a toss-up, Kane or Karis one, because I go old school. So I'm gonna go 5 plus 1. Those are my guys. But if I go top 10, I'm throwing Andre 3000 in there too. Who else would I put in there? Man, I would probably just end it there. Like, you know, I mean, there's a couple other cats, but if I'm going top 10, so that would be 7. I would put Kendrick in there as 8. He's the only modern guy who got it like that to me. He's amazing. Scarface would probably be number 9 because he's the storyteller. And who would be number 10? It's a tough one. I don't know, man. Number 10, I can't call it. I'm gonna leave it at 9.
Yeah. You know, I'm surprised you never went God Body, man. You probably be the
I can't be God Body.
You probably be the only white boy I know who be God Body, man. You know what I'm saying?
I know a lot of gods in high school,
You know
too.
a lot of gods. You worked with a lot of gods,
That's
man.
why I signed Dirty. You know that, right?
I didn't know that. Asan Unique.
So RZA came to me, and I wanted to sign Method Man and Dirty. And he told me that's an ill thought, because I was like, they're the new Run DMC.
Right.
They're going to be the greatest duo ever.
Right.
And he said, that's an ill thought, but I put Method Man over there with Russell already. But he's like, but you got all the gods here, so I'm going to put the God with you right here, because you on that bugged out shit, and you fuck with the gods heavy. So he's going to be right here.
That's
like that.
crazy, man.
Yeah.
Yo, you know, we don't have time, man.
We do it another
but you
time.
talked about how brilliant Dirty was. He wasn't a clown, right?
Nah, man, he gets, you know, he gets marginalized because of all his antics, but before all the madness took over, his self-awareness was beyond, you know, every artist ever. Like, he had the vision for his album cover. He had the
He pulled
vision.
out of that's his
He
real
pulled his
welfare card.
and his, you know, the videos were his ideas. Like, he had so many amazing ideas, and his self-awareness of who he was and what he was, there was a lot of tongue-in-cheek involved in it. And I work with this guy, Ugly God, and by no means am I saying he is the new old dirty bastard, but his self-awareness and his sarcasm, his sardonic way, his tongue-in-cheek shit, people don't get it, right? People didn't really get Dirty. He was really, it was really a mind fuck with him. He was saying, yeah, I'm a court jester, but am I really?
I'm playing y'all.
100%.
I'm playing y'all. That's amazing, man. Dante, man, thank you, man.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. We got to do this again, man.
Yeah, we got to do it
I
again.
want to
at
know
some
you
point.
two's top 5 rap superheroes, because there's a difference, right? Because you mentioned MF Doom, I would consider him to be in that. Because not every rapper is a superhero, but like the ones that's
Dirty's
like,
a
they have
superhero.
magical powers. You know what I mean?
Price.
Dirty's a
Right.
superhero.
Sean Price was a superhero.
Ooh, Sean Price for sure, and that's my man. Rest in peace, Sean. I
Yeah,
love you.
Redman.
Redman, 100%.
Redman.
Method Man,
Method Man, yeah.
Method
100%. Cool Keith,
I mean, Ghostface.
Ghostface for
You know?
sure. I mean,
Cool Keith, what?
Cool Keith, because he's
Black
just a
Elvis,
maniac.
yes,
you know?
yes,
He's
yes,
a maniac.
yes, yes.
He's dumb underrated, by the way.
Buster.
He is, man.
Buster, for sure.
Buster.
I mean, man, Wu-Tang Clan is the Avengers, right?
Yeah.
They're like the Avengers to me. Man, it goes on and on. I mean, Eminem. Eminem is Superman, you know, because he looks mild mannered, look like a regular dude, but let him take that shit off, put the cape on.
I'd give him the
Flash.
I'd give him the Flash because he's so fucking fast. Like,
Oh yeah, man. See, Eminem is bugged to me too because I haven't really enjoyed listening to his records that much. The last after
it's
the first
different.
two,
Yeah, the first two.
I liked
After
Recovery.
Marshall Mathers,
I liked Recovery, but the first two,
Yeah.
But technically, he's the baddest motherfucker of all time. The only one technically who could ever fuck with him. Oh, I forgot the greatest rapper of all time on my list. I'm bugging. Yo, Big.
Yes.
I'm bugging.
Yes.
That's just so.
Is
It's
he,
so
is
obvious.
he top 5 or second?
Top one.
Top 1.
That's the greatest rapper who ever
Yes,
did it.
yes.
See, I'm a student of rap, so I was talking to a rapper the other day. This kid, you should know about him, Lou the Human. He's nasty.
Lou the Human.
Lou the Human.
From where?
He's from Staten Island.
Okay.
He's a white boy. He's all kinds of things. He's Mexicano. He's all kind of shit,
Right.
but he looks like a white dude. He's amazing. Check him out. I got a song called Brink Out. Everyone's chasing this kid. So he came in my office and we talking about rapping and I said, you're a superhuman rapper because you could change your flow at any time. He said, I'm surprised you know that. I said, yeah, only 2 other rappers in the history of rap could ever do that. And that's Big and M.
Wait, and you know who else can change
Jay.
that flow? No, you know who else doesn't get credit? I think he's a fucking super scroll. Not that he changes his style, but he can adapt to any style. Game.
Yeah, but Game, see what I'm talking about is, so in the art of rapping,
Yes.
everything has to be done on a 4, a 8, a 12, a 16, right? Everything works in 4-bar increments. You write your raps in 4s or 8s, usually. But Big in the middle of the 3rd bar could change his flow.
Oh, I see what
Eminem
you
in the
mean.
middle of the
Oh, I
5th
see what you're
bar
saying.
could
Yeah.
change his flow.
Yeah. Jay.
As great as Rakim is, he can't do that. Jay could do that, but he doesn't do it as often as those guys.
And you know who's off the charts?
Andre 3000 could do it too.
And Doom.
Doom is different. He not rocking like that. His pocket ain't like that. His pocket ain't as good as those dudes. Like Nas don't do that.
Right.
Jay does it a little bit. Kendrick does it a little bit. But like really only Big M, Andre 3000 are the only guys who ever really did that, fucked with it like that. And the off bar changing their entire flow. And Big's the first one who ever did it. And anyone says anything else, they're bugging.
That's crazy.
He's the greatest rapper ever for doing that. And he never rapped the same way a whole 16. So there's great rappers. Like Jadakiss a very good rapper, but he's gonna rap the same way that whole 16,
Yeah.
99% of the time.
Yeah.
Right? So music revolves on even numbers. So jazz though fucks with the odd numbers, right? Shit'll be in 4 or 5. So what these guys are doing is the rapping equivalent of jazz. They're breaking the rules of mathematics because music
Bring
is all
more
math.
elasticity to
Right. They're whether conscious or not, they are fucking with a higher form of rhythm, much like Latin music, which is never traditional time either.
right.
So when I talk about rap, I talk about Big and M, Andre 3000 cats who really did that. And to me, you know, that's why they're in my top 10. But Big, hands down, the greatest rapper of all time. To
Yes,
me.
sir. Yes, sir. There you go. And here's one of the greatest A&Rs of all time.
Thank you.
Dante, man, thank you so
Thank you.
much, man. And it's been far too long.
Yeah.
We got to talk some more, man.
Yeah.
You know, and continue
My man.
success, man.
Thank you,
I see
man.
you haven't
it's
stopped.
good right now. It's great, man. You know, I got the Ugly God Kid made in Tokyo. You know, we got another Macklemore coming down.
That's
and,
dope.
And Little Dicky's doing his new record, and he's got a mixtape about to come out.
You
and,
like the climate today, man?
You know, I look at it different, right? So there's Kendrick. Leo asked me this last night. He said, Dante, how do you feel about rap today? I said, you know, there's J. Cole and Kendrick over here, and maybe Chance. There's a couple of cats over here who are, you know, they
Still
they
throwbacks.
embody
They're
what we do.
throwbacks.
They could have hung out with everyone in the 90s,
Exactly.
right? And then you got over here, you got all this other shit. But I understand this other shit, and I have a job, and I understand and appreciate for it what it is,
Yes.
right? Everything has its own chamber, its own level, right? Everything isn't the same. So, and it applies to all music and culture. So we got the exceptions to the rule, the J. Cole's, the Chance the Rappers, the Kendrick Lamar, a couple other cats, Schoolboy Q, cats who really, really rap.
Schoolboy, I'm a big
He's
fan,
nasty.
yeah.
And then you got the dudes over here who do this new thing about rap. It's not about lyrical.
It's the vibe. They're selling the
That's
vibe.
it, right?
And you're looking for stars. You're always
that's
looking
it.
for
And it's
stars.
some other shit now. So this stuff, like, I I watch the culture around the artist as much as the artist himself, right? So if the culture around him validates it, then it's real, because it doesn't matter what me or you like.
It's not our music.
It's what the kids like.
Exactly.
And I'm lucky enough to
understand
see
it.
that shit.
Yeah.
It's almost easier now.
Yeah.
It's wild.
I mean, it is easier, but I mean, we could get into that again, man.
well, records sell again. So
Yes, sir. Exactly. Listen,
All right, man.
internets, Dante Ross, man. Thank you so
My
much,
man.
sir. Yes,
See you
sir.
again.
You know what it is, internets. Dream those dreams, and then man up, woman up, and live those dreams. Because a life without dreams is black and white, and the universe flows in technicolor and surround sound. Blah. And your internet support for this week's episode of the Combat Jack Show is brought to you by the Spotify original podcast, Mogul, The Life and Death of Chris Lighty. Hosted by me. Mogul tells the story of the music exec that changed hip-hop, changed the careers, and shaped the careers of some of its most beloved artists like LL Cool J, 50 Cent, Missy Elliott, Nas, Diddy, Busta Ryhmes, and so many more. With one of the most illustrious careers in music, Chris Lighty rose to the pinnacle of musical success before an untimely end. The story is just more than music. It's the story of the American dream. Mogul, The Life and Death of Chris Lighty is a Spotify original podcast produced by Gimlet Media and the Loudspeakers Network. Follow and listen to Mogul every week exclusively on Spotify. That's Thursday, specifically internets. Thursday.
This episode of the Combat Jack Show is produced by Jonathan Mena, executive produced by A. King, and this is an official Loudspeakers Network production.